in the today's class, we're going to study about the directive principle of the state policy (DPSP). And for your kind brief, I have already discussed the fundamental rights of the Indian Constitution, which is described under the Part 3 of the Indian Constitution. And about the fundamental right, we have discussed in the last class. So today's we are going to discuss about the DPSP, Directive Principle of the State Policy, which is described under Article 36 to Article 51 of the Indian Constitution and under the Part 4 of the Indian Constitution. So let's understand what is DPSP and what it exactly intends to. So before going to, I would like to inform you that the DPSP has been borrowed from the Irish Constitution. Matlab, the idea of DPSP has been taken from the Constitution of Iran. Okay, so in the 1937, the same idea also has been implemented in the Spanish Constitution, and from both of those, the idea of the DPSP has been brought in Indian Constitution as well. So coming to the next part, let's understand what it means to why we have the DPSP under the Part 4 of the Indian Constitution exactly intends. क्यों हमारे इंडियन भारतीय संविधान पे डीपीएसपी को लाया गया था. सो कमिंग टू दैट पॉइंट, हमने अगर देखा तो हमको ये बात बहुत अच्छे से पता है कि देयर आर ए लॉट ऑफ रूल्स, रेगुलेशन, फंडामेंटल नेचर्स ऑफ द इंडियन कॉन्स्टिट्यूशन जो कि पब्लिक वेलफेयर के लिए, जनता की अच्छाई के लिए बनाया गया है. देयर आर लॉज, देयर आर द अमेंडमेंट्स बीन मेड फॉर द पब्लिक बेनिफिट. यस और नो? इट बीन डन. ओके, बट देयर आर सर्टेन थिंग्स व्हिच इज जस्ट नॉट एप्लीकेबल एट दिस पॉइंट ऑफ टाइम. मतलब अभी हमने जो लॉ को फॉलो कर रहे हैं, जो रूल्स एंड रेगुलेशन को हमने फॉलो अप कर रहे हैं, क्या रूल्स एंड रेगुलेशन हमने पहले भी फॉलो कर रहे थे? The same rules and regulations which we are following today, nowadays, is the same constitution, same rules, same regulations, same laws been applicable before? No, there are changes in the society. समाज में सामाजिक चिंताधारा बदलता रहता है, लोगों का जरूरत ये भी बदलता रहता है. आप अगर ये बात देखते हैं about the crime rate, about the crime scenario, ये भी आपका चेंज होता रहता है. सो कमिंग टू दैट पॉइंट, जब हमारे सोसाइटी में चेंजेस कंपलसरी है, जब सोसाइटल चेंजेस हर बार ऐसे होता रहता है, तो ये मोमेंट पे हमारे संविधान का जो धाराएं हैं, संविधान का जो कानूनी नियम है, जो रूल्स है, जो रेगुलेशन है, जो आर्टिकल्स है, वो भी फ्लो ऑफ टाइम चेंज होता रहता है. रूल्स एंड रेगुलेशंस ऑफ द इंडियन कॉन्स्टिट्यूशन दैट आल्सो गेट अमेंडेड फ्लो ऑफ द टाइम, एंड वी हैव ऑलरेडी discussed about this. And mostly Indian constitution probably is the only constitution in the world which has been amended a lot of times, and it is said that it is the longest and written constitution in the world. So हमारे भारतीय संविधान की बात करें तो हमारे संविधान में ऐसा कुछ चीजें, जब संविधान का मेकर ने संविधान को बनाया, तभी उन लोगों को ये चीज का रियलाइज हुआ कि देयर आर सर्टन रूल्स, सर्टन रेगुलेशंस जो कि अभी इस वक्त हम लोगों ने इम्प्लीमेंट करना सही नहीं रहेगा, बट आगे जाके इस चीज का जरूरत पड़ सकता है. जैसे कि मैं आपको एक छोटा सा एग्जांपल देता हूँ. जैसे कि आप अगर बात करते हैं कि साइबर लॉ के बारे में या फिर साइबर क्राइम के बारे में, तो मैंने अपने बचपन पे कभी भी एनी साइबर क्राइम नहीं देखी थी, क्योंकि दैट पॉइंट ऑफ टाइम ये सब शुरुआत नहीं हुआ था. राइट, विथ फ्लो ऑफ द टाइम व्हेन India got the independence, there was not any terminology even that is called the cyber crime in India. And at that point of time, no need of the proper cyber law itself. But after the year 2000, it has been seen that the rapid increase in the cyber crimes in India. To tackle that, by the year 2005, India has made its own cyber law. Sorry for the interruption. Yeah. So what I was telling that when we were in the era of the independence, when it was 1947, at that time there's no existence of the cyber crimes in India. But with the flow of the time, the growth of the time, for that there is a change in the society, and at the current point of time there is a very rapid increase in the cyber crime in the society. To tackle that, India made the cyber law propaganda. India became the part of the conventions which enforced certain rules and regulations to protect India. The ITR, in Information Technology 2000 itself is an example of this, right? Why we are discussing this? DPSP is exactly indicating that. मतलब जो चीज हमारे भारतीय संविधान पे तभी जरूरत नहीं थी, अभी उसका जरूरत पड़ रहा है, वो चीज को हमारा इंडियन कॉन्स्टिट्यूशन में अगर कहाँ पे लिखा गया है तो वो होता है आपका डीपीएसपी, Directive Principle of the State Policy, which been described under Article 36 to Article 51 of the Indian Constitution, and that been described under the Part 4 of the Indian Constitution. It's okay. So coming to the DPSP part, चलिए इसके बारे में बात करता है कि डीपीएसपी में ऐसा क्या बोला गया है। डीपीएसपी पे आपका हर कोई आर्टिकल जो डीपीएसपी के बारे में डील करता है वो कोई स्पेसिफिक रूल के बारे में बताता नहीं है। जैसे कि हमने बात किया था when we had a discussion about the fundamental rights, Article 14 gives about the right to Article 14 speaks about to equality. Article 21 is about the right to life and personal liberty. Article 9 speaks about the right to freedom. Article 25 speaks about the right of the religious institutions. But अगर हमने ये सारी चीजों का बात करें तो हर कोई आर्टिकल एक स्पेसिफिक चीजों को इंडिकेट करता रहा. Every article of the Indian Constitution comply a specific theory or not? Yes, but in the DPSP इट इज टोटली सजेस्टिव इन नेचर. डीपीएसपी का हर एक आर्टिकल हमारा संविधान को सजेस्ट करता है कि ऐसा होना चाहिए, ऐसा करना चाहिए. अगर आप लोगों ने ऐसा लॉ तैयार करोगे तो वो पब्लिक बेनिफिट के लिए अच्छा रहेगा. तो ये बोलता है आप लोगों का डीपीएसपी. चलिए बात करते हैं आर्टिकल 36 के बारे में. आर्टिकल 36 is the first article under the Directive Principle of the State Policy. It speaks that government and the Parliament of the India and the government of the legislature of the states, the local authorities, the statutory authorities, the bodies of the जैसे कि the LIC and the private bodies which are working instruments of the state. तो आर्टिकल 36 पे ये सारे चीजों के बारे में आपको डिस्क्राइब किया गया है. हमने हर एक आर्टिकल को बहुत अच्छे से समझेंगे. उसी से पहले लेट्स टॉक अबाउट सम फीचर्स ऑफ द directive principle of the state policy. So what are those features? Let's discuss one by one. The first feature speaks about the ideal state should keep in mind while formulating policies and enacting laws. तो पहला रूल आपका क्या है? एक आइडियल स्टेट किसको बोला जाता है? जो कि ऐसा लॉ फॉर्मुलेट करता है, मतलब क्रिएट करता है, ऐसा पॉलिसीज को इम्प्लीमेंट करता है जो कि पब्लिक वेलफेयर के लिए काम आ रहा हो. मीन्स द डायरेक्टिव प्रिंसिपल ऑफ द स्टेट पॉलिसी ऑलवेज concerned about the public welfare. So under the DPSP ideal state हमने उसी स्टेट को मान सकते हैं जो कि अपने सिटीजन का भलाई के लिए, सिटीजन का वेलफेयर के लिए कुछ अच्छा रूल्स एंड रेगुलेशंस को ला रहा हो, which makes and amends or creates or implements kind of policies, rules and regulation for the welfare of the public. The second point, constitutional instructions. That the second part of the DPSP, the second point which speaks the features of the DPSP, it speaks that कि आपका जो लेजिस्लेचर है, आपका जो गवर्नमेंट है, वो हमेशा और जो भी रूल्स रेगुलेशंस तैयार करता है वो पब्लिक पॉलिसी के अगेंस्ट नहीं होना चाहिए. वो किसी का भी फंडामेंटल राइट को, फंडामेंटल ड्यूटी को एनक्रोच या फिर वो लोगों का हानि के लिए कुछ भी स्टेप नहीं लेना चाहिए. तीसरा, इकोनॉमिक, सोशल एंड पॉलिटिकल प्रोग्राम. थर्ड फीचर ऑफ द डीपीएसपी इज अबाउट द इकोनॉमिक, पॉलिटिकल एंड सोशल प्रोग्राम्स. इसका मतलब क्या होता है? अगर आप इकोनॉमी का बात करें तो हमेशा हमने ये बात हर जगह पढ़ के आए हैं. We are talking about the preamble of Indian Constitution. वहां पर भी हमने इक्वालिटी के बारे में पढ़ा था. Under the equality it has been written that the social, economic एंड पॉलिटिकल इक्वालिटी। तो यहाँ पे भी वही सेम चीज को रिपीट किया गया है। अंडर द डीपीएसपी इट हैज बीन टोल्ड दैट द इकोनॉमिक, सोशल एंड पॉलिटिकल प्रोग्राम्स शुड बी कैरिड आउट फॉर द वेलफेयर ऑफ द पब्लिक। इकोनॉमिक प्रोग्राम का मतलब क्या होता है? जैसे कि गवर्नमेंट हमारे लिए कई सारे पॉलिसीज लाता है, जैसे कि गवर्नमेंट के तरफ से we see that there are a lot new job openings, there are a lot training programs for the youth, a lot of training sessions which encourages youth to be mentally strong, emotionally strong, to learn new skills or to get a new job or to get settled. So that gives the economical independence to our youth, to the youth of our society, right? So that is described under the Indian Constitution, under the DPSP, that the state, the country, India, and the Indian Parliament or the central government or the legislature should focus upon the economic programs which encroaches, which enhances or which encourages the public welfare programs and economic equality under the society. Hope you guys have got it. The second point is social programs. Social programs means the programs for the social needs that is need to be governed by the government. जैसे कि if we see India is not that much developed country, and in certain areas of the India there are also a lot of people who are existing who has a very basic knowledge about anything. Like we are talking about TB, we are talking about cancer, we are talking about any kind of disease. You see that there are having a lot of government camps on behalf of government, जैसे कि blood donation camp, social awareness camp. Why these governments are doing these things? To encourage the public to know the new things, to get acquainted with the new ideas, to be updated about the rules of society, to get updated about the disease, about the current affairs, what is happening. And even you see, when we were going through the कोविड-19 फेज, जब हम लोगों को कोविड-19 के फेज में हम जा रहे थे, तब आप लोगों ने देखा होगा गवर्नमेंट ने हर घर घूम के, हर गांव घूम घूम के आप लोगों के अंदर अवेयरनेस क्रिएट कर रहा था। हर कोई स्टेट का अपना एक पॉलिसी होता था, हर कोई स्टेट अपने अपने सिटीजन्स को अवेयर करने के लिए पूरा कोशिश में लगे हुए थे, ताकि लोगों को अंदर सतर्कता बढ़े, लोगों ने सचेत होकर अपना प्रोटेक्शन खुद कर पाए. That comes under the social programs. Also instructed the DPSP that the government or the state should make the welfare provisions for the welfare of the society. That is the social programs to make awareness among the publics. And the third point is the economic, social and political awareness and the political programs. Political programs is happening everywhere, and especially as election time, all of us very well aware how these political programs are going out. As we see, when there is election campaign comes, people do their rally, people make aware the public that what they have done during the 5 years. It might be true, it might be false, that is a different thing though. We are coming about the political programs that we see that Indian Constitution has given the freedom to the every party to criticize the opponent party. And that what is the role of the opponent party in India? The opponent party criticizes the ruling party criticizes the opponent party. This keeps happening. एक दूसरे को छेड़ते रहते हैं. जैसे कि आप अगर बात की कि राहुल गांधी और नरेंद्र मोदी के बात देखिए, हर एक पार्टी अपने पार्टी के दूसरे पार्टी के अगेंस्ट बात करते रहते हैं, राइट? कमिंग टू द दैट पार्ट, दैट कम्स द पॉलिटिकल प्रोग्राम. यहाँ पे अंडर द फ्रीडम ऑफ द स्पीच हर किसी को पूरा हक है अपना ओपिनियन रखने का. पॉलिटिकल प्रोग्राम कैरी आउट करके लोगों तक सच्चाई पहुंचाने के लिए ये हक हमारा डीपीएसपी हमको देता है. एंड दैट कम्स अंडर द पॉलिटिकल प्रोग्राम टू मेक द सोशल अवेयरनेस अंडर द डीपीएस. एंड द नेक्स्ट फीचर and the next point comes about the social and economic democracy. And what it exactly means? The social democracy speaks about the society where the society continues as a democratic party, or where you get your right to vote, to select your own candidate, to select your own authority, right? That comes under your social equality or social democracy. And then comes your economic democracy, where you have the right to earn wherever you want. You have the right to do any kind of job. You have the right to get your economic stability. You have the right to gain your economic gain, or you have the right to pay your GST as well. So that comes under your economic democracy, your social democracy, where you have the total right to fight your democratic rights, to right to vote, right to equality. That comes under this DPSP as well. And the next feature of the DPSP that comes, establish a non-justiciable but examining and determining the validity of the law and what it exactly speaks about. Already learned it under the fundamental right. Any law, any rules, or any regulations which is violating the Indian constitutional laws, or any kind of provisions made by the parliament which is violating the basic fundamental rights of citizens, that should be void in issue. That should be challenged under the court of the law. If the court finds the law inconsistent to the public right, that can be taken out by the Indian authority. So under the DPSP is right, Indian courts, the Supreme Court, the High Court, the Indian authorities to examine the laws, to verify the laws, that whether the law is applicable in nature, whether the law which is made, is it justified, is it legally authorized to continue, should the law made for the public will, is it harming the public interest? So this is the most important feature of the Indian constitution under the DPS, and on feature of the DPSP is about the public benefit or the legal benefit of the public. Sorry for the interruption, guys. Okay. So coming to the next part, they're talking about the laws or that rules should be prohibited or should be cancelled. Okay. The next point comes that this also aim to make a democratic socialist republic country. What we understand by the democratic republic country, so also we have studied under the preamble Indian constitution as well. The Article 36 of Indian Article 36 speaks about aim to democratic social state and socio-economic justice, and that comes under the socialist principle of the DPS. Article 30 is about to minimize inequalities in income, status, facilities, and opportunities. So let's understand what it speaks about. Under Article 30, it speaks that the state be concerned to minimize inequalities. Inequalities in what? Income, status, facilities, and opportunities. We understand by the inequalities in the income. Matlab, equal pay for the equal work. Recently implemented few years back. If we see the Indian history up to a bit back, we can see that when we are talking about 1950, 1960, 1980, in those era, there was no such provision for the equal pay for the equal work. And in certain provisions, the male members used to get paid more than the female members. Now, the situation has been changed. The women has been progressed, and there is a provision for the equal pay for the equal pay for the equal work for the everyone, right? So, the inequalities in the income source, inequalities in the economy, that has been minimized, that has been reduced. The state has the responsibility to minimize the inequalities. Everyone should be treated equally. Everyone should be treated carefully. Everyone should get their all basic rights. And then the second portion comes inequalities in the status and facilities. Let's understand that. Status means your financial status, your societal status, your cultural status, right? And यहाँ पे the DPSP, state cannot discriminate you under any ground, and the state should view the equal status to everyone. That means it doesn't matter you are a Hindu, Muslim, Christian, Parsi. ये मैटर नहीं करता कि आप कौन सा रिलीजन से बिलोंग करते हो, ये मैटर नहीं करता कि आपका जाति क्या है, आपका कल्चर क्या है, आप कौन सा एरिया से बिलोंग करते हो, आप पैदा कहाँ से हुए हो, ये सब मैटर नहीं करता फॉर आवर गवर्नमेंट और फॉर द इंडियन कॉन्स्टिट्यूशन. इट ट्रीट्स एवरीवन इक्वली. एंड मैं एक हिंदू हूँ, मेरे को जितना फैसिलिटी मिलेगा, अगर आप एक मुस्लिम हो तो आपको भी उतना ही फैसिलिटी मिलेगा. आपको कोई भी डिस्क्रिमिनेट नहीं कर सकता आपके रिलीजन और कास्ट के बेसिस पे. सो दैट इज एग्जैक्टली व्हाट डीपीएसपी स्पीक्स अंडर आर्टिकल 38 ऑफ द इंडियन कॉन्स्टिट्यूशन एंड स्पीक्स अबाउट टू मिनिमाइज द इनइक्वालिटीज ऑफ द facilities and the status. So coming to the next part. Coming to the next part, Article 39, it speaks about the adequate means of the livelihood, the equitable distribution of the material resources, the prevention of the concentration of the wealth means of the production, and the equal pay, preservation of the health and the workers and children against the foreseeable abuse, opportunities for the healthy development of the children. So when we're talking about this, let's understand one by one. The Article 39, the first part speaks about the adequate means of the livelihood. So what we understand by the adequate means of the livelihood? Adequate means of livelihood means आपका जीने का तरीका सही सलामत होना चाहिए. आप जिस तरीके से जी रहे हो, you should fulfill your basic needs, your food, your shelter, your home, your education, the basic needs, the human survival, that should be fulfilled. That comes under the Article of the Indian Constitution. It speaks about the adequate means of livelihood. The next point comes about the equal distribution of the material resources, means everyone should be distributed equally about the material resources. What it speaks about? Let's understand it. Material resources means the resources which is created or made under the earth. For example, if I am talking about the rice or the you can take and talk about any kind of grains. You can talk about any kind of stuffs which we do use in our day-to-day life. Those are considered the material resources. That might be a food substance, that might be any substance which we use in our day-to-day life. Okay, so when we're talking about the material resources, there should be the equal distribution of the material resources to everyone. Even it comes to the matter of the money, like when we're seeing that the budget economy or the budget adhivesan is going in the Indian Parliament, that time we see that 10 crore has been granted to Kerala, 10 crore has been granted to Karnataka, 15 crore has been granted to Gujarat. So it's something which speaks that yes, this state has been granted the more amount and this state has been granted the less amount. Got it? So when we're talking about this, there is a provision that the center or the Indian Parliament cannot discriminate on that ground or cannot discriminate anyone on the basis of the material resources. It should provide equality to all states. The third point, prevention of the concentration of the. Remember, this is a very important topic, very important point under the DPSP, which speaks about the prevention of concentration of the wealth. We understand by concentration of the wealth. Concentration of means where the rich is becoming richer and the poor is getting more worst condition. तो एक कहावत है, हमारा लॉ जो है सबको इक्वली ट्रीट करता है, बट ये धनियों को ज्यादा धन देना पसंद नहीं करता है या फिर गरीबों को ज्यादा गरीब होना मंजूर नहीं करता है. तो अगर आपने कॉन्सेंट्रेशन ऑफ वेल्थ की बात करें तो हमने इस चीज का प्रोहिबिट करते हैं अंडर द डीपीएसपी अंडर आर्टिकल 39. यहाँ पे ये बोला जाता है कि अगर मेरे पास बहुत ज्यादा पैसा है तो ऐसा नहीं कि सारा का सारा पैसा मेरा पॉकेट पे ही रहना चाहिए. अगर आप एक गरीब इंसान हो तो आपके पास कुछ भी नहीं जाना चाहिए, ऐसा नहीं होना चाहिए. द property, the money, the economy that should be distributed equally. If you remember that after the Indian independence, Vinoba Bhave, he was a person who was just roaming from door to door and asking people that if you have the jameen, the land, then distribute it among the poor. And if we are considering the day-to-day life, then we can know that uh, there are a lot of policies by the Indian government which is intended for the welfare of the public. And you can see that government is nowadays distributing the free books, free education. आपको there are a lot of kind of things. राशन आपको फ्री का चावल मिलता है, फ्री का गेहूं मिलता है, आपको अपना पढ़ने के लिए बुक मिलता है, आपको फ्री का कपड़ा मिलता है. Government grants a lot of things to poor people, to economically backward people, and that too for free. Why? To create the economic balance between the society. जहाँ पे ज्यादा अमीर लोग टैक्स पे करते हैं, उन लोगों ने क्यों टैक्स पे करते हैं? Because the law says if you are rich, if you are having your financial stability, you should share portion your earning to the government, which will be implemented, which will be used for the welfare of the public. Under Article 39 the Indian Constitution, that the government or the state or the legislation should not help out people to concentrate wealth, but it's help to the distribution of wealth and to help people to become more richer. And if we are considering the current scenario that we see that every state, there are 10 states under India, each state has the own policies for the development of the people, for the development of the economically backward classes. And even if you're seeing about the Bihar government, you can see that there are a lot of policies made by the Bihar government for the economically backward people. There are the job reservation, there is wealth distribution, there is the opportunity to education, and a lot of things has been there, right? Why so? But if you are seeing the policy of taxes, you see that if your amount is exactly exceeding 10 lakh or 15 lakh or 20 lakh, you have to pay a particular amount of the GST, 4% GST, 2% GST, 3% GST. The exact amount of the GST need to be paid, right? So this is what the economical equality speaks about. The rich should pay taxes, should contribute a specific amount of income to the government, and that specific amount of the income should be used for the welfare of the public and help the poor people to balance a financial stability. Clear? The next point comes the preservation of health and strength of the workers and children against forcible abuse. What we talk about? कल हम लोगों ने जो बात किए थे, हमने ये बात किया था कि अगर कोई बच्चा 6 से 14 साल के बीच में है, उसको अपना एडुकेशन का पूरा हक, the child under age 6 to 18 has the right to get education. अगर बच्चा का उम्र 14 साल से ज्यादा है तो वो कहीं पे भी काम कर सकता है. But if a child being working worker at any place, it should be keep in mind that the type of the work the child is doing, that should not be hazardous, and that should not be forcible in nature. मतलब कोई भी काम के लिए आप किसी भी बच्चे को फोर्स नहीं कर सकते. And we had a conversation about the forced labor as well. I have told you there are countries like South Asia, there are countries like Uganda, South Africa, and these countries do have the forced labor system still now. If you are considering about the India, and now in India there are a lot of posts. You go to I'm giving you an example. There are certain tribal areas that is existing in Kerala, Tamil Nadu, and those regions. If you are going to those people, you see that the tribal people are very underdeveloped. Like they don't have that much scope to develop, and actually they don't want to get out from their comfort zone, and they don't want to explore as well. So what happens? Many people in tribal area, they has been implemented as forced labor. उन लोगों का जो पॉवर्टी है उसका फायदा उठा के कुछ दलालें आते हैं, उनको खरीद के ले जाते हैं. Even this practice is still continuing in India. The practice of the forced labor, it is still happening. The DPSP exactly prohibits that. It says that the forced labor. It might be a human being, it might be children, it might be a woman. आप किसी को भी किसी भी काम के लिए जबरदस्ती नहीं कर सकते. आर्टिकल 9 prohibits the forcible abuse. जबरदस्ती abuse करना, किसी को परेशान करना, किसी को मेंटली या फिजिकली अब्यूज कर करके कुछ काम करने के लिए मजबूर करना, ये हमारा राइट्स, रूल्स, रेगुलेशन, लॉ के खिलाफ है. दैट इज पनिशेबल अंडर द इंडियन कॉन्स्टिट्यूशन. दैट इज पनिशेबल अंडर द इंडियन लॉ. So DPSP suggests that the state should turn rules, provisions which will stop the forcible abuse, which will stop the forced labor, and which will strengthen the workers and the children's rights, and which will make them to stand at a better position in the society. Then coming to the most important and the last part of the Article 39 that speaks about the opportunity of healthy development of the children. So let's understand what it speaks about. The healthy development of the children gives that everyone should be get opportunity. Every child should be get an opportunity to be grown as a healthy person. I mean, if we are talking about certain kind of people who are just economically backward or poor, they are not able to provide a proper nutritious food to their child. And even for this, we have seen a lot of campaign by the multiple organizations, even by the United Nations. If you see that the war countries, like if you see Afghanistan or the Syria war, if you have seen in the news that you have seen that there has been the helping camps has been conducted by the WTO or by the United Nations, which were helping people to enhance their quality, their standard. This was providing food, shelter to the little children, providing the nutritious foods, providing the education to the affected children, and working for their benefit, right? The exact thing has been explained under Article 39 of the Indian Constitution under the DPSP, which speaks about opportunities for the development of the children. This healthy development includes giving the healthy food, healthy shelter, healthy environment, healthy psychology, healthy teaching, and mostly healthy opportunity to grow as a human being. So I hope you are clear about this. Article 39A speaks about equal justice and free legal aid. Equal justice we had already discussed, where in the society everyone should be treated equally. Everyone should get justice. Everyone should be get the basic rights. If I am a poor and you are a rich, is it justified that law will go on your favor and you will get the relief? No. हमेशा अगर हम जस्टिस के बारे में बात करें तो जस्टिस क्या बोलता है कि हर किसी को इक्वली ट्रीट हम करते हैं. जैसे कि हमने आर्टिकल 14 के अंदर ये बात किए थे, इक्वालिटी बिफोर लॉ एंड इक्वल प्रोटेक्शन ऑफ द लॉ. इक्वालिटी बिफोर लॉ मीन्स लॉ के सामने सब समान है. I also explained you this, like if I am a Prime Minister of India, I am also liable for my sins under the court of law. If you are a normal human being, you are also answerable under the court of. अभी अरविंद केजरीवाल को उनके अगेंस्ट कुछ जो भी कंप्लेन आया था उसी के लिए गिरफ्तार करवाया गया था. He was in jail. तो ऐसा नहीं कि आप अगर पॉलिटिशियन हो, आप अगर कोई भी पावरफुल नेता मंत्री हो तो आपको रिलीफ मिल जाएगा, आपको कोई भी पनिशमेंट नहीं मिलेगा. नो. इक्वालिटी बिफोर लॉ एंड इक्वल प्रोटेक्शन ऑफ द लॉ. लॉ हर किसी को इक्वली प्रोटेक्ट करता है, हर कोई लॉ के सामने सेम है. तो आर्टिकल 39A exactly speaks about the equal justice to everyone in India, whoever is the citizen or non-citizen of the India, whoever might be a citizen of the India, a domicile of the India, or whoever a tourist of the India. They have been staying in India for a period. They should get the justice. Any sort of crime is happening to them in India, they can claim justice under the court of law, under the Indian court. And that beautiful right has been given under Article 39. And the most important part of Article 39A is free legal aid. अगर हमने जब हम आर्टिकल CRPC के बारे में पढ़ेंगे तभी हमने ये बात पढ़ेंगे कि हमारा लॉ फ्री लीगल एड के बारे में बात करता है. चलिए समझते हैं फ्री लीगल एड क्या बोलता है। फ्री लीगल एड मतलब लीगली किसी को हेल्प करना जिसके पास फाइनेंशियल बेनिफिट ना हो, जिनके पास फाइनेंशियल स्टेबिलिटी ना हो अपने लॉयर खुद लेने के लिए। जैसे कि मैं एक एग्जांपल देती हूँ। फॉर एग्जांपल देयर आर टू पार्टीज, ओके, वन पार्टी हु द victim, that party is very poor, okay, the party has no money to hire a lawyer for himself or herself. So in that case what state will do? Another party, the opponent party, has already hired a lawyer and that lawyer is fighting for that party. So in this case, if you have not the financial stability to hire a lawyer for yourself or to hire a lawyer जो कि आपके लिए फाइट कर सकेगा, अगर आपके पास पैसा नहीं है अपना लॉयर चुनने के लिए, तो ये कोर्ट का, स्टेट का ड्यूटी होता है, वो आपके लिए लॉयर हायर करेगा जो कि आपको आपके केस पे हेल्प करेंगे, या फिर who will fight a case for you. Usually they are named as the public prosecutor. Okay, so हमारे लॉ में ये चीज भी बोला गया है कि अगर आपने कोई गलती करते हो या फिर अगर आपको किसी ने भी गलत प्रूव करने का कोशिश कर रहा है और अगर आपको अपना डिफेंड के लिए लॉयर लेने का पैसा नहीं है, फाइनेंशियल स्टेबिलिटी नहीं है, देन यू हैव द राइट टू स्टैंड थ्रू योर लॉयर. द लॉयर विल बी प्रोवाइडेड by the court of justice and that gives you the equal justice. क्यों? क्योंकि यहाँ पे लॉ किसी को डिस्क्रिमिनेट नहीं करता। अगर मैं गरीब हूँ और मैं अपने लिए एक लॉयर हायर ना कर सकूं तो वहां पे तो मैं केस हार जाऊंगी ना, तो ये तो इनजस्टिस हो गया। लेकिन नहीं, लॉ यहाँ पे आपको बोलता है कि परेशानी का कोई बात नहीं है, अगर आप अपने लिए हायर नहीं कर पा रहे हो तो हम आपके लिए हायर करेंगे, बट आपको जस्टिस मिलना जरूरी है। एंड दैट इज एक्सप्लेन अंडर आर्टिकल 9A. Okay, so coming to the next part, article of the Indian Constitution of the DPSP, which speaks about the right to work, to education and the public assistance. तो यहाँ पे क्या बोला गया है? राइट टू वर्क, आपको इंडिया का हर कोई कोने पे आप जहाँ चाहे उधर काम करने का परमिशन है, इफ यू आर नॉट ए क्रिमिनल एंड आर लीगली ऑथराइज्ड टू वर्क एनीवेयर इन इंडिया. देन राइट टू एजुकेशन, वी हैव ऑलरेडी डिस्कस्ड इट अंडर द फंडामेंटल राइट. यू हैव द राइट टू स्टडी where you want under your caste, religion, place of birth. आपको कोई भी अपना एजुकेशनल राइट से रद्द नहीं कर सकता. तीसरा, पब्लिक असिस्टेंस, आपको सोसाइटी में पब्लिक के थ्रू या फिर सोसाइटी के बीच में अपना जीने का पूरा हक है. आपको सोशली कोई भी डिस्क्रिमिनेट नहीं कर सकता टू गेट the public assistance. And under Article 41, there are also certain few more things are explained, that is like unemployment, like not getting a good job, or the old age, sickness, disablement. The people who are old in nature, they are getting they're facing any kind of situations due to their old age or sickness, or like these the people who are disabled in nature, right? So moreover, under Article 41, it suggests that the state should make certain kind of rules, laws and regulations which protect the right to work, right to education, right to public assistance for everyone, and especially for whom? For the people who are old age, who are sick, unable to move, disabled in nature. For them, gives the special protection. And the DPS, the Indian Constitution, suggests that the state should make specific provisions, specific laws for those people for their safety. And that is exactly happened nowadays. If you see that for the old age people, there are plenty Supreme Court and High Court judgment under which the court speaks that everyone should be treated equally. The children should treat their parents in a proper manner with care and concern, or else if they are not being treated in a proper way, the parents, if they want, they can take away the right to property from their children. अगर माँ बाप को लगता है कि बच्चा उनका सही तरह से ख्याल नहीं कर रहा है, तो सुप्रीम कोर्ट के हिसाब से अगर माँ बाप चाहे तो बच्चे को अपने प्रॉपर्टी से, अपने जायदाद से बेदखल कर सकते हैं. तो ये सारे प्रोविजन जो नए लॉ ने हमारा सुप्रीम कोर्ट ने लाया है, दैट इज फॉर द प्रोटेक्शन ऑफ द राइट ऑफ द ओल्ड पीपुल, ताकि उन लोगों को बूढ़े उम्र में कोई भी तरह का तकलीफ ना देखना पड़े. There are been specific reservations in the jobs. The disabled peoples, the people who are being physically handicapped, they are getting the specific reservation in the jobs. Why? To give them equality in the society, to give them a social balance, and to provide them a specific social security, right? Yeah. So about Article 40, the Article 42 speaks about the just and human conditions to work and the maternity relief. The human condition to work means wherever anyone is working, that might be a corporate worker who is working in a air conditioned room, or might who is a worker or a daily worker who is working as a laborer in the field. So it doesn't matter. There's the working conditions for the everyone should be just, should be human, should be favorable, should be comfortable, should not be uncomfortable or discriminated by any means. That speaks under the Article 42 of the DPSP. And the next point speaks about the maternity relief. This is the very most important part which we'll discuss in the next class. We'll discuss that what are the laws for the maternity relief nowadays. कौन सा लॉ मैटरनिटी रिलीफ को सपोर्ट करता है, कौन सा जजमेंट इसी के बारे में बात करता है, मैटरनिटी रिलीफ आप कितना दिन तक ले सकते हो, उसका क्या क्या प्रोविजन है, उसी के बारे में हमने नेक्स्ट क्लास पे बात करेंगे. आर्टिकल 42 onwards we'll continue in the next class. So I think this is all for the today's class. Thank you all. And if anyone has having any doubt, they can just put their doubt in the chat box. I'll be clarifying, or else you can ask the doubt in the next class itself. Thank you.